So I have to say, it is pretty early to be getting leaks, rumors, reveals for the next Call of Duty game, but there is a lot of hype around Call of Duty 2022, specifically it being Modern Warfare 2. And late last night, we got even more evidence of what is to be of the next Call of Duty game. Now, the weird part about this is it did not come from Activision. It did not come from Infinity Ward. It came from Captain Price, or at least kind of Captain Price. It came from Barry Sloane, the voice actor for Captain Price, which basically gave us our first image of what I'm guessing is some Modern Warfare 2 campaign gameplay. Now, this image that you're seeing here isn't a lot. There isn't a lot to it. It is very blurry. It is very hard to see, but I think this image is a lot more telling and gives us a little bit more information than pretty much anyone I have seen so far talk about it has. And the reason why I say this is because a lot of the videos I make are about the story of Call of Duty, and we have dove into a lot on Captain Price. We have dove into a lot on the Modern Warfare story. And because of this, I have a little bit more information on this picture than I think a lot of you may actually realize. On top of this, it ties into some other leaks that we have already been told about the campaign for Modern Warfare 2. So what we're going to do in this video is dive into this image and discuss what this actually means for the campaign of Modern Warfare 2. And of course, this obviously means the return of Captain Price to the Modern Warfare universe and some other characters as well. But let me explain this. Let's start by taking a closer look at this image. So as a whole, this image is very, 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 very blurry, and there's some green and red lights, and honestly, not a lot to take away from it as far as the scenery or what is going on in this image, except for one thing. The one thing that isn't quite as blurred, but kind of splayed into the background of this image is a logo, and that is, of course, a logo for Task Force 141. Now, I want you to take a close look at that logo, and we're going to compare it to a couple of different other logos of Task Force 141. So first off, we have this logo. This one is the orange, black, and white logo from Modern Warfare 3. After the fall of General Shepard in Modern Warfare 2, Task Force 141 sticks around, but are kind of rebranded with a new logo, and the one that we're seeing here. The part in the middle of the logo is kind of what we recognize as the Task Force 141 logo, but the orange is from Modern Warfare 3. If we go back a little bit further to the original Modern Warfare 2, this is probably the logo that a lot of you, myself included, associate with Task Force 141. When they were kind of brought together within Modern Warfare 2, originally, this is the logo that we saw with the name Task Force 141 underneath. Now, this is the most reminiscent logo to the one that we are seeing in the image, except for one. Believe it or not, there was a logo brought forth within Modern Warfare 2019 for Task Force 141 within some of the calling cards and emblems in Modern Warfare 2019. This is the logo that we saw within that game. Now, the middle is very similar to what we saw in Modern Warfare 2, the dagger with the skull and the wings, and then Task Force 141. The addition of the red also makes this one indicative of Modern Warfare 2019 and not Modern Warfare 2. If we have another look at the image that Barry Sloane tweeted, you can see that the logo in that image is exactly the same as the Modern Warfare 2019 one. Now, with Barry Sloane tweeting this tells us a couple of things. Number one, the big one, Captain Price is returning. That is no surprise. We already talked about that in a previous video this week. But also Task Force 141 and the story that we saw continue after the campaign in Modern Warfare 2019 is also going to continue. With the addition of the exact same logo as Modern Warfare 2019, it tells us that that story continues. But it lends to the big question as to what is going on with the rest of this picture. It is all blurred out, it is all scrambled. It looks like Captain Price is tripping out and seeing the Task Force 141 logo. Well, upon some other leaks that we have received about Modern Warfare 2022, aka Modern Warfare 2, we have heard that the idea for the campaign is that Task Force 141 is going to be fighting some sort of Colombian drug cartel. And that is the current leak, and before any of you jump to any conclusions about the Menendez drug cartel, Menendez was from Nicaragua, and as far as that goes, I doubt that they would tie those two together. Now, what's weird here is that the kind of like trippy campaign missions that we see a lot in Black Ops aren't often what we see in Modern Warfare. And one of the big things back from Modern Warfare is that it was rooted in reality, super gritty, and to see them do something like this is really offbeat to what we saw in Modern Warfare 2019. The best example I can think of this is the mission Clean House. Super realistic, you are raiding a house just like you kind of would in real life, and that's really what they wanted to stress with that game. Not these kind of trippy missions, but maybe they're taking a page out of Black Ops book and gonna have some trippy missions where maybe Captain Price goes to Colombia, they give him some of the drugs, and he starts tripping out and has to save some of his comrades or things like that. Now, what I find interesting about this idea is that is not really what Modern Warfare 2019 had set up. We never really found out what happened to Khalid al-Assad, but we did find out what happened to the Zakhaev. So Khalid al-Assad is still at large. On top of that, in Modern Warfare 2019, we had a couple of name drops of General Shepard.
Tea?
Yeah, well, I'm a long way from a proper pint.
Russia disowned Barkov.
Well, they didn't have much choice, did they? He's dead.
You took a big bite out of that problem, John.
For now. But left unchecked.
It won't be. General Shepard pulled the files you asked for. What exactly is this about?
Now, as we know, in the original Modern Warfare 2, General Shepard was a huge part of that. Finding out that he was actually a bad guy working with Shadow Company, we saw a turn in the tides as to from the person who was running Task Force 141 to the person who was essentially tearing it apart. So with the name being dropped a couple of times during the campaign, you would assume the same would happen. And on top of that, later in a future season, we saw Shadow Company actually added into the game with a couple different operators like Rose and Velikan being added and Shadow Company being added into the lore. So with Modern Warfare 2, I thought we would see more of the same, with General Shepard being a bigger part of it and maybe making that turn to evil once again. But based off of all of the leaks, that's actually not what we're hearing. We're hearing a campaign that actually takes place a couple years later after Modern Warfare 2019, essentially 3 years later, and on top of this, it's going to be revolving around some sort of Colombian drug cartel. Now, not to mention the fact that based off of what we have seen so far in Modern Warfare 2019, I thought we would see the return of the Four Horsemen, and that of course being with the return of Vladimir Makarov, one of, if not the best Call of Duty villain of all time. Now, I guess that's technically still possible, but again, he is not Colombian, he is Russian. So we have to wait and see, but with the other Four Horsemen already being in the game, it would make a lot of sense for them to continue that storyline from the previous Modern Warfare trilogy as well. But yet, that is not what the leaks are supporting. So as far as what we have right now, we do have the return of Captain Price, the return of Task Force 141. We just don't know what's happening with the rest. But the current rumor is Colombian drug cartel, and based off of the image we saw, it looks like Captain Price is tripping. But that's all the information we have. Let me know what you think down in the comments. As we get more and more to do with this story, I will keep you guys updated just like usual. So make sure you subscribe, have notifications on, hit that like button if you enjoyed the video and if you want to see more videos like this one. But as always, thank you so much for watching, and until next time, peace out.
We are reaching for the stars.